Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. Now, as you can tell from the title of this video, this is all going to be about how you can use LinkedIn in 2019. Now, if you are in the B2B space and you're not using LinkedIn, then you need to change what you're doing right now, and this is exactly why I put in the title in 2019. I know we're halfway through, but LinkedIn has been popping off for the B2B individuals, and just to be that person who uses a stat, to put this into perspective, there are over 61 million LinkedIn users that are senior level influencers and over 40 million that are in decision-making positions. Now, if you're an SMMA, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, these are probably the people that you want to be speaking to, and if they do sound like they are, then LinkedIn is 100% one of the platforms that you should definitely be using this year. Now, I've gone all in for this video. I've created a slide presentation to guide you guys through all of the most important stages that you need to put in place to start using your LinkedIn and to optimize it for your lead generation efforts. So let's jump into it. I really hope you enjoy. And one last thing before we start, I'm going to be speaking about something, announcing something at the end of this video. Now, it's something that is going to help you out and actually provide you with some free resources that you can use alongside the information that I'm going to talk about right now. So it's going to go pretty well hand in hand, so make sure that you stick around to the end, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Number one is choosing a niche. Now, I'm going to run you through my top 4 LinkedIn niches, but the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what do you enjoy and what do you already know? So if you have previous experience or passions, so you worked as a real estate agent, or you love beauty or fashion, whatever it is, or fitness, these things are going to help you really connect and engage with your ideal prospects and speak their language. So if you have these things, and I'm sure you do, if you don't, take 5 minutes, have a little think, there must be something that you're interested in, but then just use my 4 suggestions to maybe guide your decision as to which niche you would like to go towards if you've not already chosen that. If you already know your niche, you're already established, then maybe skip forwards around 5 minutes to start onto point 2 that I'm going to make. Now, e-commerce. You have the ability to get your clients a huge ROI, especially if you can run website traffic with retargeting ads, so you've got a low ad spend and high return. A good group to join if you want to go into e-commerce is the e-commerce network. So there's a bunch of different groups, but the e-commerce network tends to contain less spam than the other ones, which is what my clients have told me. So go check that one out if that's a niche that you're interested in. The second niche is real estate. So this is a competitive niche. You need to know your stuff. You need to be able to stand out from the crowd, both in terms of the Facebook ads that you're going to be creating and also your outreach process, because there are a lot of marketers that are targeting this niche, but the margins are high due to LTV. So say, for example, you've got a real estate agent selling a $1 million house, they get 3% commission. That's a lot of money. And if you can bring them, say, 10 leads a month, they close 1 person, that ROI is huge, and you're going to be more able to charge a higher service fee. Third niche is medical. So this includes dentists, plastic surgeons, etc. High margins, however, these people are extremely busy. You notice it more on cold calling, that they just won't talk to you or have time, but they can still be tricky to get a hold of when it comes to LinkedIn. So you have to be a little bit patient, and also a lot of these people might be older, so they might not really fully be on the social media wave, so you might have a little bit of a hurdle to climb over in terms of an objection that you can handle. But it's also an awesome niche because they're going to have such a high LTV. Clients to these people are going to be worth a lot. Fourth niche is health, wellness, and fitness. Physiotherapists, PTs, spa owners. The one problem with these is finding that sweet spot between not being too huge. Say the spa is massive, you can't get in front of the right person, there's too many decision makers involved, or it's a tiny spa and they don't have the profit margins, they don't have the money to be able to pay your service fee. PTs, if it's just one PT, or it could be the owner of a gym, if it's just one PT, you're going to need to kind of figure out which PTs have the money to pay you, which ones don't. Same with physios. So with this niche, I would definitely recommend maybe doing a little bit more of a qualification process in terms of the financials, just to figure out if they have enough money to pay you or not, but it's also a really rewarding niche to go into. Now, I want you to pause this video when you've figured out what niche you want to go into, and we're going to create your avatar. So I want you to write down 5 challenges that your ideal client faces and what the main pain points are that they suffer from. So pause the video, write down the 5 challenges, write down the 5 pain points, do a little bit of niche research if you need to, go on Google, have a look, ask people that you know work in the same niche, see what you can find out, what this industry tends to suffer from the most, and it will enable you to craft your messaging funnel later on to really resonate and evoke that emotion from your prospect. Second point is profile optimization. So I have a little checklist here of 10 things you can use. So you can even do split screen now with this video, pause it, have a look at your profile, compare it. Number one is having a vanity URL in place. I've mentioned this in a few other videos before. If you don't know what that is, it's basically where your URL will originally show up with a bunch of numbers and letters after your name. And to make a vanity URL, you just need to go on edit public profile, to your settings, edit the ending of your name, and then just delete the bunch of numbers that you have there, and then it will make your URL look more professional. Number two is having a professional profile photo. So as a guideline, you want to make your face fill around 70% of the image in total. Get someone to take, a friend, family member, to take a photo of you against a plain white background. And yeah, that's kind of it for that one. Just make sure it's professional, not like a selfie or you with a bunch of mates, because it's LinkedIn, so you want to keep it smart. 3 is having a banner in place. This is your chance to shine and stand out. The LinkedIn profile looks the same in terms of everything else, really. So having a different banner, you can use canva.com, where you can basically create different graphics. If you type into the template LinkedIn banner, it comes up with the exact dimensions that you can use to upload it to LinkedIn. I would recommend on your banner having ideally a photo of you teaching, like giving a talk, you in front of working with a client, you with somebody who's well known within your industry, or if you don't have that, a photo of yourself or some sort of graphic that relates to your industry. Number 4 is having 500 plus connections. Now, I will cover how to get to the magic 500 later on in this video, but having 500 plus connections has 2 benefits. Number 1 being social proof. So if someone tries to connect with me and they have 3 connections, I'm most likely going to think, is this a real profile? Probably not going to connect. They probably don't have anything else in place, any content. There's no real value that I'm going to get from them. If someone has 500 plus, it just shows that they are established. 500 people wanted to connect with them too, so I'm more likely to want to as well. And the second point is, when your profile is fully filled out, LinkedIn is more likely to not shove it to the bottom of the search engine. When people are looking for you, your profile will just get pushed down if you don't have everything filled out. And having 500 plus just makes you look like a legitimate active profile. Number 5 is having a keyword heavy headline. So make sure that your headline isn't CEO and then your company name. You want to make sure that you make it keyword heavy, because people are going to see your headline when you ask to connect with them, when you message them, when you view their profile, any notifications from you, they see your name and your headline. This is also going to help you with your profile ranking. So whatever people might be searching for, your ideal clients, try and integrate those words into your headline to make you stand out, make it catchy, and make you come up higher up in the search results. Number 6 is contact information filled out. At a minimum, try and have a business email there for people to email you on. Some people prefer email to LinkedIn. Use G Suite, that's what I would recommend. Also having your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, anything business related there, and obviously your website, any case studies, etc., etc. Number 7 is having an optimized about section. So make sure it's in the first person. Do a combination of personal, professional accolades throughout this about section. And make sure you make it keyword heavy and have a CTA at the end. So what do you want people to do from what they've learned? Do you want them to speak to you? Do you want to send you a message? Do you want to send them to the website to learn more, to a case study? Have a CTA there to book a call with you, etc., etc. Number 8 is rich media. So this is added to your about section. You can add rich media in the form of case studies. It could be a YouTube video. It could be work that you've done for a previous client. Anything that is engaging and that will create more of a wholesome profile for you when people visit. I have literally had clients, I've closed clients from the fact that I have rich media, because they've said, would this work for our company? Would we be able to do this? Or they've been like, oh, the results that you got for this client, we'd love to do that too. Rich media is powerful, and I would recommend using it if you haven't already. Number 9 is having up-to-date experience. So you can fill out your experience section kind of a bit like a CV, where you can add on your previous positions, your current position in the company, also add a little description for your keywords. Make sure you fill that out with anything relevant to your current industry. Number 10 is having 5 to 10 recommendations. So These are so easy to get. Just reach out to 5 to 10 people, previous clients, current clients, people that you worked with in a job, anybody that you know well. Reach out to them, ask them for a recommendation, do the act of reciprocity, give them one in return. This should be pretty quick to get. If you don't have any clients, when you do get your first client, as soon as you start working with them, finish working with them, you provide them results, ask them for a recommendation and do them one for them as well. Now I've got a quick exercise, so you want to pause this video and fill this out. I want you to write a list of 10 keywords that potential clients may search for that relate to your services. A good way of getting inspiration for this is by looking at the words other individuals similar to you include throughout their own profile. A few examples could be words like Facebook ads, coach, paid traffic, consultant, graphic design, etc. Pause this video, fill out these 10 keywords. They are going to be the breadcrumbs that lead potential clients to you, the words that they're going to be searching on LinkedIn when they're looking for somebody like you to fulfill whatever they need to do. So write down 10 keywords and then use this as a reference, as a guide to when you're filling out your about section, your headline, your profile, etc. Next is building your network. So to hit the magic 500, we've got 2 options, manual and automation. So I'm going to cover manual first. What you want to do is build a lead list and open all the relevant prospects in new tabs. Then you want to send them a personalized connection request. Pre-write a template and edit small parts to speed up the process. At this point, the main focus is to reach 500. So send requests to those you think are more likely to accept. Maybe not CEOs or Fortune 500 company CEOs, people who have 500 plus employees, because they're not likely to accept you. So choose people that are more likely to see your request and let you in. Then you just need to wait. You should be able to hit 500 after about 7 days. That's the average that I tend to see if you do it right. If you want to use automation, build a lead list and open all the relevant prospects in new tabs using either Sales Navigator or normal LinkedIn search. Use an automation tool. I recommend Linked Helper as a cheaper option or the B2B prospecting tool as a more expensive one. I will put links to both of these down below in the description box. I don't have an affiliate link for Linked Helper, but I do have one for B2B prospecting tool. So if you decide to support me, if you decide to use that link, as a thank you, I'll send you 3 hours worth of training on the tool that I did at a mastermind event. So all you need to do is, if you purchase it, send me a screenshot of the receipt. Then you want to input the connection request message you want people to receive. I would recommend using the codes to personalize it. So there's scrape codes that automation tools use, such as first name, last name, title. This just adds a touch of personalization. And as before, you just want to wait. And same thing, probably with an automation, a little bit quicker than a week, but give or take 7 days. Now, a few pointers. The act of reciprocity. So endorsing anyone who endorses you or endorsing every new connection. This also notifies the person that you have viewed their profile. So it gives them a little notification, your name comes up, they're reminded of you. It's a quick way to bump up the amount of endorsements you have for each skill and also to increase your credibility. Then sending up a follow-up message. So whenever someone accepts your connection request, it's good to follow up with another message. This could be asking them a question about their business, an accomplishment you notice they've achieved, something you both have in common, etc. Moving on to the content strategy. Now, I wanted to put in the LinkedIn algorithm just to sort of give you a macro view of what it looks like. Basically, when you post content, it goes to a universal content filtering area where it scores it for the quality. If it gets triggered as having a problem, it will then go towards human editors, which say, is the content good? If it's not good, it's filtered, so it'll be hidden or removed. Then they will report it to TNS if it's awful, like if it's required. If it isn't flagged, if it's cleared, then they'll continue displaying it and they will monitor the engagement. So it's most important within the first, say, 5 to 10 minutes of you posting. It will monitor the likes, the views, the hides, the flags, the comments, the shares. If you get good engagement within the first couple of minutes, your post is going to be shown and its visibility will be increased. Now, with this, I would recommend, if you're just starting out, if you don't have good engagement, reach out to a few connections every time you post. Reach out to friends, family, if you have them on LinkedIn, I don't know. A few people that you know, that you speak to, and ask them to engage with your content to help you out and do the same for them. Just be like, I'm happy to do the same for you. And this will help you increase your engagement slowly over time. Now, there's a few do's and don'ts when it comes to this. Do be polite. Ask questions, create a conversation, have an interesting opening and closing line. The closing line is almost as important, if not more important, than the opening line of your post. because this is going to be the deciding factor as to whether people say, okay, do I want to share this? Do I want to comment on it? Do I want to like it? So make sure you focus on the start and the end, like the sandwich of the post. Post any links in the first comment, not in the status itself. If you post links inside your actual update in your status, LinkedIn is going to reduce your visibility because it doesn't want people leaving LinkedIn. It wants people to stay on the site itself. So if you make a post, comment as the first comment, put the link in that instead, and that will help you out a lot. 5, speak about things like achievements, problems, relevant stories, etc. People love a good story. People love updates of what you've done. People love achievements, things that you've done, like they want to support you. These are great things to talk about in terms of what you want to write in your status. In terms of the don'ts, so don't post controversial content. You don't want to be cause too much polarity. It will just cause an argument. There's people who have a bunch of different opinions and it just won't go down well. I would just recommend avoiding it. Don't just sell. People will unfollow you or hide your content, which will also give bad feedback to LinkedIn and they will decrease your visibility more so. Focus on volume over quality. So avoid being spammy and try to stay relevant. Finally, don't be careless. So check your grammar. It's a professional platform. Make sure everything makes sense before you post it to stay professional. Use Grammarly. If you have problems with spelling or you don't like grammar, it scares you, use Grammarly and it will just highlight the words where you should put a comma, etc. and just give you those little suggestions to make sure it's presentable. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be just a god of grammar, but just make sure it makes sense and that it's professional. Now, I have a little hack for finding out what content will perform well. I like to use Quora.com. So start using Quora to validate which posts will and will not perform well. By answering relevant questions on Quora, you can see which of your answers perform the best and then copy and paste the best ones to use as a LinkedIn status. One mistake I made though was writing really long answers and forgetting about the 1,300 character limit on LinkedIn. So just bear that in mind when you're answering questions. This is also a good option for you if you're not confident at writing long pieces of text like articles and blog posts. Answering questions also means that your answer will most likely be more unique and original than if you were to plan out a set of posts with topics in mind. Sometimes I used to kind of run out of ideas, and on Quora you can literally just scroll through a bunch of questions. They give you the topic itself, you just do the answers, so you never really run out of stuff to talk about, which is awesome. Now, Sales Navigator. I'm not going to go into this too much because I've done an entire video called How to Use Sales Navigator in 2019 on my channel, so I will put that link in the description box. If you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. It's a really in-depth video, which is a module taken straight from my online course, LinkedIn Unleashed. So it's stuff I use for my clients. It's good stuff. I'll leave the link below. One thing I do want to talk about though is I had so many people ask me for help targeting e-commerce clients. So I'm going to run through a quick search on Sales Nav to show you how I target those people without talking about Sales Navigator for 3 hours, because that could potentially happen. So we're in Sales Navigator now. Let's do an advanced search. I run through what all of this is in the video, by the way. But what I like to do for e-commerce is, for the industry, I like to do retail. And then I like to put keywords e-commerce. Then I'm going to do profile language English, seniority level owner. And you've got nearly 4,000 results here. Now LinkedIn will only show you 1,000 results at a time, so you might as well get that result a little bit smaller. I'm going to split it by cities, because then I would create different lead lists by geographical location. So say for example I want to do London, there should be about 400 in London. Let's see how many there are. Really annoying that it does that. Okay, London. Oh, we've got 114, so let's search this. And then what you want to do is you want to open up all these different companies in new tabs, go check out their website, see if they've got pixels installed, see what the state of their online presence is, and then reach out to these people. Now, just quickly to mention these features, because I think they're so useful. This is showing you the 21 most active people out of this entire search. So 21 people out of these 114 posts on LinkedIn in the past 30 days. So I would start with these people, messaging these people. They're more likely to respond to me. I can then read their content, see if there's stuff I can spark a conversation with, etc. For this section, 27 share experiences with you. This tells you what you have in common. So you could say, oh, I noticed we're both we're both a member of the digital marketing group, would love to connect and share further value together. Or like if you've seen what they've posted in that group, be like, oh, I loved your post on XYZ, etc., etc. So I'm going to stop here because otherwise I will just ramble on about Sales Nav. But that's how I target ecom. That's how my clients target ecom. So run through that. And there's a really good, I will mention it later on in this video anyway, but there's a content strategy that I use myself, and it works really well for ecom because you have a smaller amount of results to go through in comparison to real estate and some of the other big niches. So there's a content strategy that I would recommend using for ecom, which we will cover later. Now we're on to the final section of this presentation. We've got the sales process. Now I have a 5-step close. That's what I like to call it. My first step is identify. So by this point, you should know what your ideal prospect looks like and where to find them. This will either be by using LinkedIn's normal search, Sales Navigator, or through niche-specific groups you have already joined. If you're struggling with this part, try and think of some basic key factors such as the geographical location, so where they're based in the world, the seniority level, or the owners, VPs, managers, directors, and the industry that they're in. Second, now you've identified them, you need to reach out to them. So this is where you need to set yourself apart from the crowd. You could be using video outreach, asking a question, mentioning something that you have in common, complimenting an achievement of theirs, or anything else to engage a conversation. As a few key pointers, just make sure that you always personalize the connection message and don't try to sell in the first 2 to 3 messages. Ask questions and find out about their needs before you try to suggest your services, because they might not need it at all. Now, the method that I use myself is called the ECCC method. I cover this exact method, this strategy, inside my free case study, which I will mention at the end of this video, but I'll also put the link to that below in the description box. It's free, you don't have to pay for it, but I didn't want to go over the method again in here when I've already done it somewhere else. So I will put the link below. You can sign up to that and then go watch that whole entire section about how I reach out to people. This is also what I mentioned for ecom. This is a strategy that works really well for them. Now, section number 3 is understanding. So find out what problems your prospect is facing in their business. You can't suggest a cure without a diagnosis. So you can't tell someone that they need to be on crutches for their broken leg if you don't know they have a broken leg. You could give them paracetamol. Like you can't just suggest your services to people without finding out if they have a problem in their business that would benefit from your service. Second point is have a conversation. So time and time again, people send me screenshots of what they're messaging on LinkedIn saying, why does nobody respond to me? When all they're doing is selling to people who haven't asked for their help and are not even interested. At the time of making this video, there are over 500 million members on LinkedIn. You are always going to get people who don't respond or who aren't interested in you, but you need to remember that it's a numbers game. Figure out your law of average and see what changes you can make along the sales process to improve it. Now, so what is the law of average? I wanted to bring this in here because I know a lot of people that start out, or even people that are more advanced, you can get disheartened when you speak to people and they're not interested and you feel like you're getting loads of no's and it's hard to keep your hopes up, I guess. And what I like to do to make myself feel better is use maths. Simple maths though, don't worry. So let's have a look at the diagram on the left-hand side. This is a bell curve and it basically shows the average, so the outcome of what this salesperson achieved from the 10 presentations that they took. So they did 10 presentations and they closed 2, which you can see are inside the bell. If we have a look on the right-hand side, we've got somebody who's more advanced at sales. They've done the same amount of presentations, but they've closed double what the beginner did. So they've closed 4 presentations out of 10. Now, I want to tell you a little short anecdotal story. When I first started in door-to-door sales, which I was doing a couple of years ago before I got into SMMA, the director of the company that I was working for told me that the law of average for a sales rep was that out of every 150 people we speak to, 3 would be logical yeses. So I was pitching on behalf of the RSPCA. So that for me is if I speak to 150 people in businesses and I say, do you want to help out a cat or a dog today? 3 of those people are going to be like, yes, what can I sign up to? Here's my debit card. And sure enough, the average actually did match what he told me. I kind of didn't believe him at the start. I was like, he's just saying this, so if I get disheartened at 147, I'll give up, or just to make sure I speak to 150 people to get those 3 yeses. But it actually was pretty accurate. The more I practiced, the more I pitched, the more confident I became, and the more I was able to adapt my pitch to the personality type I was speaking to. and thus the higher my average became in terms of my closing numbers. I was at this company for around 8 months, I think, in total, but after around 5 months, just to give you some perspective, my average became 2 in 10 people closed. So that's 30 people in 150, which is 10x the average that I started at. So I started at 3 in 150, I went up to 30 in 150. And I had some days where, I mean, there's one day in particular, I remember I was running around before the business was shut because it was my personal best out of the entire time I've been at the company. And I got, I think it was, how many people? I spoke to 40 people and got 14 sales. Was it 16 sales? I think I got 16 sales out of 40 people. And I was ecstatic. I was just buzzing, going around everywhere. And I was like, this just really showed me that if I just adapt myself to the sales situation, understand people and start to really care and connect, I can speak to a third of what I should be speaking and close 5x that amount. And I just want to remind you that obviously there's certain factors that get involved in terms of environmental factors. So the area that you're in, for me, it doesn't matter for you guys in terms of cold calling, but it could be the countries that you're targeting, the areas in which these businesses are, how big they are, how new they are. These are all going to affect whether they can afford your services and the likelihood that they're going to convert and be a good match for what your price point is. Now, section 4 is the call. Once you have engaged with your prospect, identified their pain points and put them through the basic qualification process, it is now time to move them off LinkedIn and to the close. Ask them if they would have time for a 15-minute breakthrough session, when they would have time for that. Say that you have identified some key problems from their online presence and that you would like to share some suggestions to help them effectively move their business forwards. Now, everyone knows that your phone call means you're trying to sell them something, but you will always have a mix of serious prospects and people that are just looking for a free consultation. I have found that the best way to filter out the less serious leads is by having a strategy session form that they need to fill out before they take the call with you. I use Acuity myself. That's the one that I would recommend. Again, I will put the link in the description box below, but it really just helps me qualify out those people and choose who I want to take calls with. If you're just starting out, you might as well just take all of the calls for experience. It will help you do some niche research, figure out the problems, the pain points. If you're more advanced or you're tight on time, using this as a barrier is going to help you a lot, and it shows more commitment from their side. Now, the final stage is the close. Now it is your time to shine. Run them through your sales script and don't mention pricing until they ask you. When they ask you what you offer and your pricing, run them through the options and use IBP. That's incentive-based pricing, to put a time pressure on the decision. The longer you let someone think about it, the less likely they are to close. So literally, the increase in time equals the decrease in likelihood to close. Like, it's just how it works. There are a few exceptions to this though, such as if another decision maker is involved, so if there's like a co-founder, but you should have asked this at the start of your call to be able to know how you're going to try close it at the end. Let them know that whether or not they decide to work with you, they should implement your suggestions because it's costing them. So make it clear that even if they decide not to work with you and they decide that they want to work with somebody else to do it themselves, say that whether you work with me or not, you need to implement what I've spoken to you about and what I've shown you, because it is costing you money and you're leaving money on the table, and this is a really quick fix. And then it's always going to be in their head that you kind of had their best interests at heart, and whether or not they paid you, you still are recommending that they do these things. So it's kind of going to weigh on them a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed that presentation. I hope I got through it all in enough detail and that it all made sense. Now, as I mentioned, I am going to link the free case study down below. And I know I said at the start of the video that I had an announcement. Basically, I redid this case study to include a lot more value than I had previously. And as I mentioned in the video, I have included my ECCC outreach method, which is outlined completely in the free case study. All you need to do is click on the link, go to the page, put in your email address, and what I am doing is that as a thank you, if you stay until the end of the case study, I will be sending you an email with some free resources on the inside. Now, the free resources directly correlate to exactly what we've just covered in this entire video and also what is covered inside the free case study. So I kind of wanted it to feel like a little starter pack for anybody who is a beginner with LinkedIn, more advanced. Maybe you want to refresh your niche or audit your LinkedIn to make sure it's at that expert level. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you very shortly in the next one. Make sure you check out the free case study. Stay until the end. I'll send you your free resources and let me know what you think.